Hello, my loves. I am so honored that you are dropping into this beautiful portal and journey with a beloved SEM client. We have been together. Her name is Aimee. We've been together now inside the SEM Women's Group for the last 3 months, a little less than. And she is a incredible single mama. She's based in Australia, and she came into this space with multiple past traumas from sexual to emotional. And she really decided to deepen into her body, into her practice, and into her life to transform. And I'm so excited to chat with her and unpack what she's experienced through this journey. But also for you, if you're here and watching this, if you are a single mom, if you have been through severe traumas in the past, if you have had a lot of family dysfunction, and you're at that point in your life where you are ready to make the shift, where you are ready to embody and to go into that courageous journey of unbecoming, then please drop into this space and listen to what she's been through and what she's going through and the path that she is on in her unbecoming and her embodiment. Okay, I'm super excited. We're going to welcome her in 1 second, and then we get to dive into this journey. Okay, so excited. Welcome to the space, my love. So let's land us in. First and foremost, tell me a little bit about you. Where are you? What's your flow? What's your life? Let's just start there.
So my name is Aimee. I am a single mother. I am a business owner. Uh, yeah, where am I at? I'm in the middle of my 30s trying to figure out where I'm at. I'm divorced, so I am trying to find where I fit into the world at the moment and uh, who to be for myself, but then for everyone else around me and find that balance. So yeah.
So beautiful. Full powerhouse, mama, business owner, and Australia, right?
Yes, yes, sorry.
Aussie babes. Tell me this. And then like genuinely, obviously we know each other. We've been in our journey for a good couple months now, but I am really curious to know, where were you before we started journeying together, before you started SEM?
Yes, so I believe I was at a stage within myself that I knew that something had to change. So I felt like I wasn't completely myself, like there was something missing, but not just, it wasn't like to level of a new outfit or, a new meal. It was like a feeling inside that was really calling to level up, but then also replace different parts of myself that had grown old. I was ready to shift them out and find a new home for those parts. So for me, I guess my life wasn't actually functioning how I wanted it to. I I thought that if I did all the things that you're meant to do or are told to do, which I had been doing for a very long time, those conditioned beliefs weren't functioning anymore. And I didn't really know why or what I had to do. And so, yeah, I was very lost, but open to the idea of things changing.
Mhm.
And yeah, I guess not really trusting or not able to trust things around me that had perhaps come forward to try and help me along the journey. Like it just didn't resonate. It didn't feel right. So I tried different coaches, different programs, different studying. I've leveled up in my business with different things, and still I just didn't feel satisfied with where I was at. So always on the search, always on the search. So yeah.
Crazy, but also like so powerful to like be in that place where like you just get that knowing. And I know we said that when we first connected, like it's knowing. It's like something deeper has got to level up and shift, even if I'm doing the work and I have all these conditionings. It's like the old skin, the old way of being needs to transform to then pop out the other side and find things that maybe we didn't even know we had, right? Um,
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. I know you said that there was like stuff you knew needed to change and like old skin that needed to come off. What were
Mhm.
like some of the really like specific problems and things that you were struggling with that you needed help with to shift in your life?
Yeah, so I believe definitely self-talk, how I speak to myself. I've always been a conditioned believer. I've always been openly adaptable to others' needs. And I don't want to say I'm very good at it because it's not a positive thing, but meeting everyone else's needs. But when it comes to myself, I was always abandoning that call. I almost felt guilty for spending time on myself moving forward, which was something I knew needed to change, that I had that thought that I um, uh, wasn't worthy to be worked on internally from myself. It's like as long as I had that external validation from others elsewhere, then I was okay. And that nagging feeling was like that. That's not where I'm meant to be. That's not okay. How can I create that internal relationship with myself, which I didn't realize I never actually had before. So there was very quickly so much of myself that I wanted to perhaps like disassociate from in such a loving way. Um, but then also like how to trust that journey and that feeling. Is it normal? Is it okay? Am I, going through another disassociative cycle where I'm abandoning myself? Yeah, so just having to lean into that was a really big uh nagging feeling. I'd say like even intuition is not something I've had a great relationship with, or trusting my own intuition. So I think, yeah, that come knocking, knocking down the door and going, Aimee, it is okay, and I'm here. And yeah, I guess like my internal self just woke up and said, I'm going to make you listen no matter what. And that was a strange feeling. Yeah.
Crazy. And yeah, I know like when we've spoken as well in the past, like there was so much that happened, right? Like in your past that created that self-talk, that created those blockages. And then it's like, how do we start to transform when we've been through so many different things in our life, right? And you had such a path,
Mhm.
like, and I always read, like when we first had our first call, I was like, oh my gosh, I see my life in your life, like the amount of resonance in traumatic events, in life events where it was like, oh my God. And then starting to like, is this intuition? Is this dissociation? Is this the right thing? How do I feel myself? How do I go there? So yeah, it sounds like, and I know like it's been such a freaking path and a big thing for I think a lot of women as well is like being a chronic people pleaser. And like knowing you can do everything for everyone else, but actually filling your own cup and coming into your own body and being able to fulfill that can come with guilt and shame and the unknown. And that's the big blocker, right?
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to share just about like where you were at the beginning of your journey? Things you'd been struggling with? Just curious before we move forward.
Yeah, I think, like you said before, like there's just so much to share about my journey, really. I think, yeah, when I talk into that self-confidence and it being not there and not understanding, and I guess I was living in such a survival mode my whole life, but that's the only way I knew how to live. So being able to understand and look at that and actually disassociate from survival mode was scary. And yeah, like I really, like we've discussed, yeah, I've been through so much that it's scary when trauma is your safe space because it is much of what you know. Um, so I guess trying to understand the difference of not attracting that back into my life and my body choosing that enough is enough. And that inner talk of, going down that path, um, where that leads time and time again, and just knowing that there's better for you. Um, I think, yeah, before I met you, I was in a really bad place. So it was very, yeah, it's hard to explain it in fewer words. Yeah, I'm like, I don't really explain it. But yeah, I'm just grateful to have met you and be here now. So
It's
yeah.
the one word, like, sentence that you said that just like fucking smacks. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, is when survival mode has been all that you've known and
Mm.
trauma is your safety. And then you start awakening, like things shift enough for you to be like, this can't be the normal, but then what? And I know that was also my path too. I was like, I can't, like, after my suicide attempt, I was like, I cannot have this as my life, but like, I don't know anything else, and I default to the worst. So yeah, thank you for sharing as well and like getting into that space because I know there are so many women who from life, from the world we live in, where like survival mode is our normal and where like that's all we've known and we want to know there's something ahead, but we don't even know what it is or how to experience that.
Mm.
Which kind of leads me to my next few questions for you. Before we go into like what's happened for you, at that point where you and I kind of came together and you were in that state of like, oof, sticky,
Mm.
knowing there needed to be a shift, what was it that kind of made you choose me to be the person that came into your life and guide and walk with you?
I think from the minute I scrolled through Instagram and I found you and I was like, that resonates, that resonates, that resonates. And I was like, interesting. It wasn't even like my mind had chosen at that point, my body had chosen. And there was like this feeling of my body where it was really like, oh, like I got goosebumps even just
Mhm.
acknowledging it of safety. And, as we talked about, like trauma was my safety. And I guess people sometimes not understanding that, joy and happiness is the scary place, right? And when I connected with you and we had, gone through so much that we are similar in, I guess for me, it was that confirmation that I may not ever get this opportunity again. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or 6 months from now, a year from now. And the fact that you could so clearly meet me where I was at from your own understanding. I've worked with other people, I've worked with trauma specialists, I've worked with counselors, psychologists in the past before to try and move through my past. But even within the first call of us just checking in, there was already just this resonance of like, it's okay, I've got you. And there wasn't even a promised expectation. It was like it was that confirmation of being able to be me in my shit and my trauma and just the messy parts of all of that being loved and accepted, but with no expectation of anything. Like I feel like there is such a pressure to constantly move through life. And I think one of the biggest part of the journey that you've helped me heal through is being able to sit in it to be able to move through it. So I think, yeah, I chose you because you made me feel safe when I was in my shit. I was like, you put on the brave face for others, and you bravely share things, and you sort of, you get the reward for being honest. But with you, it was the honoring of being real in the moment with what I was processing, and just being allowed that, with no judgment, no, I think just like genuine love and support, which again, yeah, it's hard to find. It's hard to find. So it, as much as, it was my body that said yes to you first, and then my brain does its all little calculations as it does, with that's just how I have operated. So yeah, and then once my body, my heart, my brain all synced, it was a big fuck yes. So it
I
didn't
love,
take long.
I love the SEM, mind, body, yoni, soul. Yeah. You can always tell once the girls were going through SEM. I'm like, how are we all coherently? But like what you said as well, like it hits me so deep because I think, especially in like the self-healing coaching, calling it apart, all these like things that we put out there realms, what's lacking is humanity and knowing like we've all walked a path. And it's such a big part of my why is like sitting with my woman, like my and being like, we've walked a path, and like your body and what you're in, she's going to walk you into your future. But we have to have the capacity to give her space for what is, and then come through. um yeah, and it's really beautiful hearing that reflection from you because I'm like, that's what it's about. And that's what I prayed for. And I pray that I can be that for women too, so that women have the capacity to heal, to alchemize what they know they can and will if they have the right space, the right environment. So beautiful. Another question I have actually on that though, same, but different, is was there anything that nearly prevented you from working with me or coming into the space? What was the like, everyone has their moment. What was it for you?
Yeah, look, I feel like my whole life was against me, like time management, funding, uh, ability, like ability to actually land in. Like there was that voice of like, if I commit to this, am I actually going to be able to give it my all? You know, um, the guilt of spending money when it could go to other things, but then understanding that if I don't make the investment, what happens if I don't? If I don't step forward, if I don't take that step, then what? What? Nothing changes. So the price of that was, you know, if I hadn't, then what? So yeah, I think, being on my own with my kids, it's not just me. There's three other priorities in my life, and there's always, I've got to weigh up my options and whatnot. So I think, yeah, again, just choosing me is very hard to do. Well, was hard to do, I should say. Was hard to do. That's now changed. But yeah, I think the only other thing is the ability to truly open up and be seen, because before we started working together, there was that confirmation, like, like we've spoken into all your, life experiences that you'd been through. I was like, holy moly, she will be able to reach me and see me in every single part of my uncomfortable life that I've been through. And it's like, I guess, like confirmation that I can really deeply go into those parts, and being that I hadn't been able to in the past, going, oh my goodness, like what's this going to bring up? What's this going to actually look like? And am I ready for that? So there was moments where my brain takes over and it's like, Aimee, your body's saying it's okay. And yeah, which one do you trust, right? Do you trust your head, your heart, or your body? Which one, So I think yeah, there was a lot preventing me. But yeah, it was just that moment of if I don't, then what? Nothing changes. And yeah, knowing that you'd be able to see me in all the parts, I felt it worth the investment in all parts of me. Uh, yeah.
It's so like literally like obviously I have the privilege of speaking to a lot of different women from around the world, and like you hear why people don't join into spaces, why they hesitate. And it's something that I wish more people spoke into, because people think we're like unique in our, but there's so many underlying points, and like the things that you said now are like, oh woman, we gotta listen to that. Like, one, do I have the time and can I really invest fully into myself? And it's a huge one. Like if you are a mom and you do have a job and you, it's such a major logical reason to not do something. It's like I can't go all in.
Mhm.
I'm not going to be able to honor my investment. And so we block ourselves because of that. And often it is that underlying fear as well of like, I don't know, like what if I do? What if I don't? What if I fail? What if I hate myself more? And also
Mhm.
like financial investment is a big one, right? Like especially if you have other financial priorities and you are the person who puts things ahead of yourself, like your children and your, which are like, you know, again, the logical, like obviously, but to then put yourself in that place. And I think what you reflected back, and it's another question I ask, is like, what made you say yes? But you kind of touched on it. And I often use the example of like, it's what, it's not about the investment, it's about like what the cost of not investing will cost us, you know? And I had
Mhm.
it in my journey as well. It's like if I hadn't invested my first whatever it was in my journey, 5K, 10K, what would I have lost out on? And it's, if I look now at my life, and I'm sure you can do, it's like a lot can be lost there from life, love. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm curious to know as well, like, what was your big trigger point for saying yes, just like, fuck it, I'm in, I'm doing this.
Yeah. I believe it's just your attitude to hold me in the space. There was so much love and support given, that I just truly did feel held and supported, all through. Like, yeah, I think there was that, like the fact that you'd taken the time to talk through my initial doubts of choosing myself, but again, then go like we went through the process of what SEM would actually give back, and it made sense. You know, it's like for all the reasons that I was doubting myself were for all the reasons that I'd be supported through SEM, which is why it was important. And the fact that you had gone through and taken your time to explain that initially meant to me that you have gone through the process of living this own process yourself. Like it's not just, you know, something, you know, a $5 book that you sell online. It's literally lived through, and it's, you know, it's when you can see someone or yourself love what you do as much as you do, and how you bring it into your own life, and how you've adapted everything, and being that we've had such similar past lives, um, to me allowed me to say yes to that experience, because again it was like a full body yes mind, because I could rationalize as much as I was like, oh, you know, because we want to be able, we need to be able to, um, have all parts say yes, right? So being that I was able to sync that up through your love and support through the calls, and that I didn't feel rushed or forced or pressured into it, it was a very different, it was a very different nurturing that I'm not used to. In a very good way. So it was like my traumatic self is like, oh, okay, this is loving and happiness and kind, and but it's like, you know, like I've referred to as like the big sister I've never had, and I think again, it was like, I will hold your hand, but I will not do the work for you. And that was a really important part of um, saying yes to this program as well, because knowing that I was going to be encouraged to do the work for myself um, is the most important part, right? Like, if
Yes.
I don't do it, I won't change. So I really appreciated the maturity in this as well, which was another massive yes for me. But it all happened in the space of like an hour conversation between us. So it's like my brain's like, oh, yep, okay. And then, yep, okay. And it's like, it's like, wow, if I don't say yes, then I will stay the same. And I wasn't okay with that at that point. I needed this. Um, yeah. So
Freaking love it. And also, like, I always love those like initiation points because it often shows us how fast life can transform when we make a decision. It's like I also blow my mind with things where I'm like, damn, like 5 freaking years of shit. And now it's like one choice. And I literally have that capacity in an hour to like shift myself and then enter a whole new wavelength of which I would like to get into with you a little bit on all the good stuff. So the dense stuff and why you came in and where you were at and like that aspect. I'd love to know what's been happening for you. What were like your biggest takeaways, shifts, transform, whatever it is that you were like, whew, these were my big things going through this journey.
yeah, oh, and there's so many. I think placing boundaries within myself for myself, but then also, so like internally, but then also externally with people around me, to allow me to go inwards in myself, and being able to, I don't know if rationalize is the right word, but to be able to comprehend what those changes will look like and be supported in that as well. Uh, and then I feel like another big one is just being a woman, like connection to ourselves and the expectations that we put on ourselves and how we move through that and how we learn to love ourselves and that internal dialogue. But again, to be able to reach that point of meeting myself again, it's like taking away all the layers of conditioning. And in a lot of our like calls and the SEM program have allowed to like so beautifully and so gently take a layer by layer. It wasn't like a rip the band-aid off and it's like, oh my God, it's like it's like a day spa, but for your mind and body and soul.
Love.
It's like just nurtured every day. And that's, even in the not so, warm, fuzzy, fluffy days, it's the ability to go to those depths and see ourselves. So for me, it was allowing myself to go into the depths that I needed to travel to, and actually being allowing myself to sit and nurture and give love to those parts, but being um, guided through that and being seen in that and loved through that. I think it just made the experience so much less scarier than I told myself it would be. So it's like, all right, we're going to do, this journey today or this journey. I'm like, let's go. Whereas in the past, I'd be like, yeah, no. So it's a lot. We look forward to meeting parts of ourselves that perhaps we've turned our back on for such a long time out of fear of the feelings that would arise or what we might find. And yeah, I think having that space available has been the difference. Mm.
Yeah. It's also so like poignant that sentence. Like it's like imagine, and I can say this to like a younger version of myself, like imagine being in a space where you look forward to seeing parts of yourself that previously you would have run away from because you're so scared of what's waiting when you go there. And like, you know, that part's there and it's like locked in the closet because like, I don't want to know what happens when I go there. And it's like we have like decades of blocks, but to go
Yeah.
to be in a space as well in your own mind, heart, and environment where it's like I look forward to it and I'm ready to meet that part, and it actually wasn't as scary. And there's so much that then unfolds is so fucking profound because I think so many women block ourselves from what we want in our lives because of that, right? That exact place where we fear we don't go is the portal that gives us our freedom and our joy and our pleasure and our bliss and all the things. Um, wow, beautiful. Also kind of curious, looking down at my little notes. What was like some of your best practices that you did in SEM or things that you're incorporating into your life now that are like, ah,
Oh, I'm blushing. Yeah, look,
sorry, mom.
yeah, I'm like, oh wow. Yeah, look, I having like the yoni practices and just being familiar with that part of ourselves, and there's been so much shame around that area of my body for such a long time, and to be able to direct love and uh, comf- comfortability, if that's even a word. Yeah, I think the fact that in the SEM program, it's not just one person. There's so many other women to like check in and talk to and be like, hey guys, like you're not alone in it. So it makes it less, well, for me, it was a big step. So I feel like being comfortable in that has definitely changed my life moving forward, and especially with my own how I see myself in, and being okay with that has, yeah, so that's definitely changed things for me. The other part for me, I think, is our inner child journeys that we've gone through, and then also um I feel like it's hard to choose. I feel like all of them have been through, like, so every part was so like huge for me. Even just sitting down listening to, like the music playlist that you have, and just losing myself in just being in that environment as well. But I think the group calls and what we journey through on those together as a group has been a massive shift and change for me, to be seen by other women that are also choosing this for themselves as well. It's a different kind of acknowledgement and mindset, which is what I really needed to feel comfortable. But yeah, I feel like, I don't know, can I choose all of them?
But also like beautiful, like yes, of course. But
Yeah.
also beautiful, like what you said. It's so interesting. Like earlier, I had a call with a woman who was thinking of joining into SEM, and one of her big things was like, I just can't look at my yoni and I can't go to those places. And I was like, oh well, I always attract my Marek. Welcome to the world of where we all begin. But I think so many women don't talk about that, that we have this like
Mm.
disconnect from our womb and from looking at like, and we think we're alone in it, or we carry shame, or we just don't go there. And I know in my journey as well, like when we reconnect to our yoni and we heal the shame that's there, when we unblock on that physical but mental, emotional, and spiritual level, the transformation that takes place intrinsically is unparamount. But when we're doing it in a collective at the same time, and it's like there are other women all around, there's such a resonance in the field. And it's so transformative because you know that you're safe, that you're seen, and that you're not alone in the stickiness, I think, as well. I don't know about you, I definitely always felt like yoni stuff and it should be this sexy, expressive, and sometimes I'm like, I just can't even feel there, or I just don't wanna. And so yeah, I'm grateful you shared that practice because it also like triggers and just like losing yourself in music. Like I just think so many women have lost our femininity because we're like, I need to be this and that, but it's just these moments where it's
Mm. I think I actually like the shamanic shaking and just moving the body, just like I think another the beautiful practice I think was at the very beginning was even just like giving ourselves a gentle hug.
like,
And it was like, oh wow, I don't know if I've ever hugged myself before. And then it was like, why haven't I hugged myself before? What have I been missing out on? And just allowing to like hug myself and, you know, everything I do is, an example to my kids. And I just think, they're like, Mom, what are you doing? I was like, I'm hugging myself. I'm having a nice moment to just be. And they're like, oh, wow, okay. And then I saw them do it, and it's like this moment of just pure joy. So I think, yeah, just being a woman and just allowing what that feels like individually. But seeing you be so confident in who you are allows myself to be confident in however I choose to be as well. So that I really needed that as well. Like I really needed that confirmation that it's okay, whatever way it looks or feels. Yeah, and you deliver that beautifully through the program. So, so thank you.
thank you. Thank you. But also just so beautiful to hear and also to see how it ripple effects to your children, to your family, like the feminine, right? Like we're in such a patriarchal society, we forget what the power of the feminine does for like remembering and connecting and love and pure joy and bliss. Like so good. And for your kids to feel it and for them to rewire and to realign as well from that and through you is like, yes, my greatest prayer for humanity. Yes. Okay. Let me ask you two more questions. One is a bit more general, but it's your place to just do your thing. But in general, how was your experience for yourself inside SEM? Like if you just had to describe like your journey start to finish, what would you express? How would you want to express that?
Yes, I believe I I hit the ground running in the beginning. I really was like, all right, I need to do this. This is going to be the change. And I have done all the work along the way. And I think for me, it felt like running a marathon that I've never prepared for. And towards the end, feeling tired, but then looking at all the progress of what I'd made along the journey. And I believe that for me, it's what needed to happen. Like I needed to, I don't know if perhaps the analogy of wearing out the old parts of me to lose them in order to gain the new experiences that I would now grow in was really the changing point for me. And I think being that the workload for me was manageable throughout, we've had things like Christmas and school holidays and all the rest of it. So it has been hectic. Um, but being that it's been at a manageable point of bite-sized pieces throughout the process has allowed me to make small shifts within my life and adapt as I went through. There was definitely parts like or weeks that I definitely felt it hit me more than others. And, we did delve into those a lot deeper. But I believe like the grace that was held through those weeks to just be and sit in that but then learn how to hold ourselves and sit and be okay in those spaces. Like I think there was, previously there's been such a rush to be happy all the time and be okay all the time and be, just functional 24/7, and to know that it's okay not to be to an extent, but then how to nurture in that. And then gosh, even learning about cycles and, syncing to our cycles and then making changes for that was like a whole game changer as well. And how, I thought that I just got tired sometimes, but then understanding why, and I was like, oh, makes so much sense now. Like it was really ridiculous, like weeks that I should be nurturing and slowing down, I was pushing myself and doing 12-hour days. And then I wondered why I was flat on my feet sick every month. So I believe this journey for me has been one of the most transformational, courses that I've taken on. And I've taken on a few in the last 2 years. But for me, I think towards the end, I have felt more so in my little cocoon and just nurturing, I guess all the changes that I've been made and just holding space for the parts of me I've had to say goodbye to, because there was a moment of like confusion where I felt like perhaps I was abandoning myself. And I felt like I was losing myself. But then I reminded myself I'm doing that for a reason. I'm losing the parts that I no longer need, and it's okay. And reminding myself of what else I had invited in. And I don't think before this journey I would have been able to talk myself through that. Whereas now I'm like, it's okay. There's a season for everything. There's change for a reason. So yeah, I felt like, I have slowed right down towards the end, but I feel like it's the same with the cocoon and then the butterfly emerges. And I feel like it will just click where there'll just be a choice, and there will be like the final goodbye of the old parts that I've processed and worked through. Like I definitely feel like there is more layers of me to digest and work through, but I'm very okay with where I'm at the moment and what I've achieved, and in such a short amount of time too. Like I remind myself of that, right? It's just 3 period cycles. I'm
Yeah.
like 3 chances to sort of like let go and move through. And having the kids home for 8 weeks of the journey has also, I've had not just myself to nurture as well, but I believe that this journey has definitely, from start to finish, definitely a marathon. Like I'm tired, but for a good reason. I've just achieved a freaking marathon, right? Like, so I'm looking forward to looking back on this journey and just really thanking myself and the changes I've made, and the progress that I've made. And mentally I would not have been able to do that before this. So I feel like, it's been good. It's been great.
Yeah. But still, like, so powerful, like just bringing it back to like where we began on this call and like where you were at this point. It is like
Mm,
step into the space and like there are things that need to change, and it takes a level of like that inertia being hit and shifted, and like, and again I always say like SEM, like the first 3 months is energetic boot camp. Like we don't, it's, things are going to shift on like multiple layers, and then we get to
mm,
integrate and build our momentum, and it's like that. So yeah, freaking powerful. Final
mm,
thing, and then we can for all the beautiful women who are watching and have got to this point, thank you for being with us. Firstly,
mm.
isn't it so cool that we get to like impact souls around the world? It just gets me. Ames, I would ask you to like tune into your system as well, into your soul, into your body, and feel into it. Like if there was another woman who was considering to step into this space and step into her journey, what would you want to tell her?
Mm. I I would love to tell her that this journey will be something that you can't predict, or nothing that you can be sure of in the moment when you first choose to go on this journey, but it will have the most life-changing and beautiful return. And I just, you'll never be the same again. You will never return back to the self that you are when you initially choose this journey. And I think if you are seeing this video, it is confirmation that you're here for a reason and you're seeing this message. And yeah, if you feel like there's just that part of you that's saying you need more in life, or there's something in you that's you're just not feeling whole, or I'm trying to describe, for me it was, I just knew I needed more, that this journey will give you that more that you're feeling. Yeah, if you're seeing this message, it's for a reason. You're meant to be here. Yeah.
Oh, baby, beautiful. And thank you. And for the women who are in this space and who are considering it, I am so fucking grateful for the women who do say yes, Ames. I'm so more to see the transformation, but to also know that there are women who are courageous enough to step in. And I can say that to my younger self too, and just be like, there's so much that happens inwardly, and then the world starts to like build this
Mhm.
momentum, but like, damn, it takes courage to lean in,
Mm.
to be there, to stay. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm so grateful for you and the path you've taken, not
Yeah.
just for yourself, but your family and your life and
Mm.
your younger you and like all of you. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for being in the space, for also speaking your truth, for the women who get to experience the privilege of hearing another woman's journey. It's been an honor.
No,
Amazing.
thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. Without you, I wouldn't have this opportunity. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for seeing me in all my parts, in all my stages of life, in all my experiences, and just being there and holding me through that. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Um, yeah.
I love you. We're going to gently close this portal now. For girls who are curious, who want to know more, all the details are always linked below. And Ames, thank you for being in this space. So many kisses.